All right, as you heard, when Fox News can now confirm Scott Walker, the prohibited favorite, a little more than 6 weeks ago in Iowa, his neighboring state, where he was all but greeted as a favorite son and the runaway favorite to early on win that state, is about to step out of this presidential race. He's going to spell it all out about an hour and 45 minutes from now in Madison, Wisconsin, the scene of so many battles he has had with Democrats and particularly unions in that state. 3 times he faced voters: when he first got elected, when he was triumphed at a recall election, and then when he was outright re-elected. Despite that and the crossover appeal with his battles that had a sort of national resonance, he just could not raise the money after a weak debate performance, at least in that opening Fox debate, or maybe that he was lost in the sauce or lost some passion. Who's to judge? And right now at this point, it's just almost fact that he's gone. Who benefits from that is anyone's guess. Former Reagan political director Ed Rollins was the first to muse on this, with me now on the phone. What do you make of what brought us to this point, what brought him to this point, Ed?
You know, I don't think you can underestimate the power of the debates. And the stars in our party for the last couple of years have been the governors. We have some extraordinary governors, and we've had several of them in this race. And most people thought that one of them would emerge, whether it was Perry, whether it was Kasich, whether it was Governor Walker, who obviously was a leader in Iowa. But unfortunately, in the debate, it's sort of become a Trump show, and it's sort of a salesmanship type program as opposed to standing up there and saying, "Here's what I've done in my state, and here's what I can do in Washington." And I think to a certain extent, we have this large segment of Republican voters who basically say, if you've been part of the establishment, whether you've been a governor or a senator, which traditionally has been an area of strength, you're part of the problem. We're not going to support you. I think Governor Walker, who's been through some extraordinary battles in the state and been a great governor, I think had trouble raising money, had a large staff in Madison, Wisconsin, not such a large staff in Iowa. And I think if he could have stayed, it would have been the traditional kind of a campaign where he could have been a real contender in Iowa. Then obviously he could have gone on and been viable. But I think you're now going to see a bunch of these governors who really can't raise the money and put the organization together.
All right, so now we have, to your point, Rick Perry, and now after today, Scott Walker. Who's next?
Well, I think Bobby Jindal's having trouble. I think obviously Christie's having trouble. Kasich, who I personally been a friend of for a long time, is having a hard time. He's at 2 or 3% in the polls. And so if you just can't move to that top tier, at least 8 or 9%, you're just going to have a hard time convincing big donors to give you the resources that you need. Governor Huckabee's still at 6 or 7, but he's kind of been flat. He's got a lot of attention. He ran second 6 years ago. So I think it's a very different environment than we're traditionally used to. And I think the governors who have great stories to tell, sort of the party, we're very proud of what they've done, just are losing out in this cycle.
Ed Rollins, thank you very, very much. Keep in mind that Scott Walker, it wasn't as if he didn't have money, that after the first debate, the new money stopped coming in. So there's no assurance that once you have money that you'll always keep it or be able to add to it. That undid him. Maybe a weak debate performance, maybe a crowded field where he couldn't stand out. It's been something that other candidates have complained about, this fixation on Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina. He was the short end of the stick there and the latest to say, that's it, I'm out. Who else follows?